Hey, it's Michael Kosta. Hey. A little bit of a mess back there. How we doing? This is the Tennis Anyone podcast. I'm Michael Kosta. I pressed record. My camera's a little low. So much better, huh? Thanks for all of you for listening to the Tennis Anyone podcast. Thanks for watching on YouTube. We're all works in progress every single day. Yannick Sinner said he's very curious to see where he's at this week as he comes back from his drug suspension to play Rome. Very favorable penalty he had. Didn't miss a major and got to come back for his home tournament. But, you know, I'm constantly thinking it would be nice to do this in a different space. It would be nice to do this more often. It'd be nice to make money. And I enjoy very much doing the pod, and I love the feedback I get when I show up places. People go, I listen to your podcast. So I enjoy doing it very much. I think what our entire industry has to figure out is how to make money in this shit. I mean, what did the TV streamers think? They were just going to make content all the time and then charge us $7 or whatever? I mean, Netflix now is what, $18, $19? It's hard to find something really good all the time. Remember, it was great. So I don't know. You know, as someone, more and more people recognize me publicly because of The Daily Show, I presume. Hopefully the book, Lucky Loser. Okay. Stand-up comedy. But whenever I say, oh, thank you so much, where do you watch? You know what the answer is? YouTube. You guys, no one makes fucking money on YouTube. I'm not saying I need you to tune in at 11 on Comedy Central. I'm saying, what is the industry to do? John Oliver fought hard to not have a delay with his content going up on YouTube. I heard him say that in an interview. I think now there's a 1 or 2 or 3 day delay before it goes on YouTube. And I'm kind of baffled that he puts it on YouTube in the first place. But he obviously wants people to see it. But are we just making expensive content now for YouTube? And this does tie today to Donald Trump's tweet that something about foreign-born films. What did he say? Trump, foreign-born films. Trump orders 100% tariff on foreign-made movies. And I guess this was a tweet. And it's interesting. I mean, he really does love the idea of America in some simpler time. You know, like I was thinking today, he does love what he thinks America is. I give him credit for really fighting hard to create this 1940s, 50s America where we weren't globalized, where we didn't have movies and subtitles, where South Korean film didn't win the Oscar. And if he wasn't the president of the United States, I'd be like, hey, man, do you? If that's so important to you, go for it. But the problem is he's the president. So he makes laws and rules and taxes and appointments all based off this fucked up version of what he thinks America is meant to be, which it never really was what he thinks it was anyways. But also, and this was said at our book discussion in LA, you know, one of the things that I've learned by hosting the Daily Show is how authoritarian rulers use nostalgia. I had Barbara McQuaid on the show. She wrote a book about misinformation and the difference between mis and disinformation. She's not the first person to coin all this, of course, but misinformation is just information that your uncle tells you that's wrong, but there's no malintent behind it. Disinformation is targeted, incorrect information. And the scary thing about Trump is it seems to be mis and dis. You kind of aren't as mad at your uncle when he posts the stupid thing that he found? Because hopefully he's not trying to end democracy. How'd we get fucking here, huh? Barbara McQuaid, disinformation. Movies being made, Truth Social. Anyways, I remember when I did that game show, Name That Tune, they flew everybody out to Ireland. We were flying first class, lay flat bed, stayed at the Four Seasons in Dublin, dressed all of these audience members, I think they paid them, in like American looking clothes, which is kind of Irish clothes. And they shot a full season of TV shows in Ireland because it saved the network more money. And I can't really be mad at the network for figuring out this loophole. If we figured out one thing in capitalism, it's that if it's going to save you money, people will figure it out. But I just remember thinking, we could shoot this at the lot, at the CBS lot, at some studio somewhere. All these actors and actresses wouldn't have to fly all the way across the world to save a few bucks. Really crazy. Really, really crazy. And got it. Remembered it. The book, Barbara McQuaid books, talks about how nostalgia is used as a weapon. Make America great again. Remember remember that simpler time in your life? And this is what was brought up at the book discussion. It would be like if I constantly promoted and wanted Michael's life to be like when he was 10 years old. Make Michael's life awesome again. Yeah, when I was 10, it was fucking awesome. Mom cooked dinner every night. Dad played tennis with me and baseball. My siblings were my best friends. My best friends lived across the street. You biked everywhere. I didn't think about taxes or mortgages or raising children or keeping a marriage happy. I was fucking 10. Yeah, make Michael 10 again. Make Michael 10 again. MMTA. Look, it would be awesome if Trump's speeches was like, I really loved America during this time. And I would just love, that was my happiest time. We live in a different world now. And I would love, some bullshit like that. Like I liked when I was 10, everybody. I had a crush on the girl who lived behind the creek. I biked to school every day. Mark Fisher and I played floor hockey together. I want to get it back to that. You can't get it back to that, but I want to pull those feelings and make that my life today. Okay, we could try some of that. You can't create in the present moment a feeling that was much simpler back then. Right? My daughter right now doesn't even know, but in 30 years, she's going to go, that was fucking sweet when I was 6 or 8 or 9 or however old my daughter is. I'm not telling you creepos. And I'm thinking, oh my God, is our house big enough? Oh my God, is the school big enough? Oh my God, and she's going, this is fucking great. I eat cantaloupe whenever I want. I have avocados. If I don't like something, I throw it on the floor and my father picks it up. My parents are still good looking. I'm sure my daughter is very happy that her parents are still good looking. A swing. Yes. Things were simpler back then. That goes for everybody. That goes for countries. That goes for brands. That goes for you. That goes for your marriage that's dissolved. That goes for your job that you now hate. That goes for the car that used to be new and hot. That goes for your hip. That goes for your forehand, your serve toss. Yes, it was all simpler back then. Acknowledge it, enjoy the memory of it, and then face reality that isn't where we're at right now. But maybe you can work towards that in a more complicated, layered fashion because that's the reality. Trump, yeah. Why is a South Korean film winning the Oscar? That bugs you out? Okay. Well, you know probably that American movie studios try to sell their movies to South Korea and China to make as much money as possible. So if we're going to tap into that market, it might be realistic to think that they want the American audience to see their films. But it's so funny about Trump. He really does hate the Oscars. For a guy who hates the coastal elites, even though he is one, it is very funny how much he always comments about the Oscars. Remember his tweet about Seth Meyers? It's like he hates these late night TV, but then 100% wants to be it. Why do you care so much, man? I'm not tweeting about NASCAR because I don't give a fuck about NASCAR. But the fact that he's watching Seth Meyers and is so mad that he's tweeting, I mean, you watch it because you care. Good job, Seth. Madrid is over. Sabalenka's just beating everybody. This is, I thought she beat Svitolina. She beat Coco Gauff in the final, 3-6. Nice job, Coco Gauff, because Coco Gauff beat Swiatek 1-1. Svitolina lost to Sabalenka in the semifinals. So that's kind of wild. We had Uchijima in the quarterfinals of Madrid, a Japanese woman I've never heard of. She's ranked 47. She's 23 years old. How's she say her name? Muyuka Ochijima. Okay, nice work, Muyuka Ochijima. Coco Gauff beat Andreeva 5-1 in the quarters, and the final was Sabalenka versus Coco Gauff. Sabalenka won 6-3, 7-6. On the men's side, Casper Ruud wins Madrid. I feel like he hasn't won something in a while. He beat the lefty, the handsome lefty, Jack Draper, 7-5, 3-6, 6-4, which I feel like is a great result for Draper. An Englishman? I mean, he's got a great game, but Madrid? Is Madrid elevation? It is, right? Madrid elevation. Elevation. Why can't it just tell that to me? Oh, because I wrote Madrid. Still can't. Madrid elevation, 2,000 feet. Yeah. That's elevation. Paris elevation is 115 feet. So that's going to be different. That's definitely going to be different from a ball flying through the air to standpoint. I can tell you that a place I frequent is 1,300 feet, and it's just enough where it's harder to go for a jog, but it's just little that you forget. But, plants come in a little bit later, but it's like there is less oxygen. Let's see the difference. Difference in oxygen based on elevation. Altitude to oxygen chart. Ooh, cool. I love this shit. All right, so at sea level, our effect, this is the fucking internet at its greatest, huh? I wish that when I wanted to know an altitude to oxygen chart, I would have to get in the car, go to the library, and ask the resource department for an altitude to oxygen chart. Make America great again. No, this is fucking awesome. You just plug this in. Who fucking knows what this company is? It could be like some for-profit bullshit. Okay, this is fun. Altitude to oxygen chart. Or could they could be doing it for their own kindness out of their own sweetheart. At sea level, our effective oxygen percent is 20.9%. They say similar location, Hypoxico headquarters, New York. Love that they put their headquarters as sea level. Love that. So 1,000 feet, oxygen is 20.1. Okay? So it's dropped 0.8%. That's 1,000 feet. That would be Bisili, Georgia? Tbilisi? Perfect. Perfect pronunciation. 2,000 feet, which is Madrid, is 19.4% Canberra, Australia. So 2,000 feet is 19.4. Where you are right now, most likely sea level, is 20.9. So it's a difference of 1.5% effective oxygen. I wonder when you start to feel it, when you start to notice. Let's do that. What altitude? You know what I think is probably most beneficial for you guys listening to my podcast? You actually hear how I Google. We all Google differently. What altitude? I probably shouldn't fly. I probably shouldn't Google, right? You should do DuckDuckGo. What altitude do planes fly? What altitude is space? What altitude do you start feeling the effects, start losing oxygen, start getting altitude sickness, start to notice? And then I'm going to say breathing. Just put that in there. Altitude sickness. What altitude starts to affect breathing? AI overview. Blah. I remember this when I was skiing. I don't entirely agree with this. Altitude sickness, which can affect breathing, generally becomes a concern above 8,000 feet. Okay, but that's not what I asked. This is why I fucking hate. So then you go to core. At what altitude do most people start having problems? Purely in terms of altitude, for normal living at sea level, breathing starts to get difficult over 10,000 feet. I feel like athletes would notice this shit. This is the problem. What should I have Googled? I Googled, what altitude do you start to notice breathing? I'm going to say notice, comma, breathing. And every answer is altitude sickness at 8,000 feet. Altitude sickness at 10,000 feet. I'm not talking about fucking altitude sickness. I'm talking about when do you go, oh, I'm fine, but I'm breathing a little harder. Because I guarantee you those athletes, when they play Madrid, go, oh yeah, there's an adjustment here. Oh, I'm using more energy. Oh, I'm not sleeping as perfect or something. Patient education, high altitude illness. No. Guide to high altitude. High altitude sickness affects your lungs. Altitude and travel. Altitude sickness. Altitude sickness. Okay, I must not have Googled the right thing. Or guess what? The computers aren't as smart as we think they are. By the way, last night, for whatever reason, Terminator Dark Fate was on, which I guess is Terminator 5? Terminator movies list. Terminator 1984, Terminator 2 Judgment Day 1991, Terminator 3 Rise of the whatever machines 2003, Terminator Salvation 2009, Terminator Genesis, what the fuck? 2015, Terminator Dark Fate 2019. Wow, did you know there's been 6? Did you know that Arnold Schwarzenegger is in Terminator Dark Fate? And by the way, he's good. He's funny. I didn't finish Terminator Dark Fate because when the Humvee went into the Hoover Dam and they were fighting at the bottom of the Lake Mead, possibly, I go, okay, this is fucking great. And I need to go to bed. But it was better than I thought, and I did some laughing. Terminator Dark Fate. I laughed very hard when Sarah Connor said, I'll be back. Because she'd shot someone and killed someone, and then it was like you were waiting for the big moment, and they zoomed in, and she goes, I'll be back. It was nice. It was nice. And there was also a nice Arnold Schwarzenegger line where he was about to kill somebody or something, or some military guy says, you know, oh, he's the Terminator, and he goes, I do drapes, because he's now a drape guy. And I guarantee you, I didn't think it was going to work. I didn't think comedy would work, but it did work. It worked. Nice job. Nice job, Terminator, Dark Fate, on delivering on the comedy. Great series. Holy shit, it's becoming more and more relevant, more than ever, that computers are taking over and we don't know how to kill them. And I just thought, one of those movies you think a lot about this morning. I was like, God, they can't even kill the Terminator. They're just like, you don't kill it, you run from it. And I was like, that's what it's like when you play Kosta in a baseline game, bro. You can't kill him. You just try to run. I probably, let's give my overall tennis playing at my peak a grade, okay? And I don't know how we're going to grade, but let's say like Grand Slam champion is an A+. Let's say Novak Djokovic is an A++, double plus tennis player on the overall grade. I would say top 200. I don't know. You could say A++ is Grand Slam champion. A+, former world number 1. A, anybody in the top 100. A-, top 300. B+, 300 to 500. B, 500 to 700. B-, 700 to 1,000. C+, so I'd put myself in a B-, C+ overall tennis ranking grade. So your boy Kosta, host of Tennis Anyone, much better at hosting podcasts. Your boy Kosta is somewhere in that C+, B- range at his peak. At his peak. Right now, oh my God. Dismissed. Didn't make it to class enough times. So let's just, for the sake of argument and for me feeling good about my life and decisions, I was a B- at my peak in the overall tennis male grading system. My baseline game grade was probably a D+ at best. I mean, I just lost baseline games all day long to fucking everybody. I played this one guy one summer for training. He had such a hitch in his forehand. It was laughable. I mean, it was like, I wish we had iPhones now. I would literally set up a camera. I wish we had iPhones then. I would set up a camera on his hitchy, goofy, terrible forehand, and I would just like put some funny music on it and go viral and be a millionaire. It's also funny how people think if you go viral, you make money. That's the problem now. By the way, here's what happens now. Even if you go viral, you'll gain like 500 followers. Nothing. Even if your video has millions of views, almost nothing translates to money in your pocket. Also, what are followers anyways? What are followers if Instagram just feeds you other people's accounts? Why do you need followers if I'm just seeing suggested reels? Which I guess you would say suggested reels has been a success because it is usually better content than who I follow. So maybe that's just what Instagram should be. So who gives a fuck about your follows? Who cares what your followers are? Although I'm certain if you have more followers, they suggest your reels more often. I don't know. So yeah, just baseline games was, that wasn't my strength. My strength was serving, returning, and competing. So in baseline games, it's like, great, I can compete, but I'm not serving, and I'm certainly not returning. I just want to point out that Instagram has this ad right now capitalizing on the love that parents have for their kids, and it shows like a teenager crossing the street and all this shit, and a parent helping the kid, and it's quite emotional. And then it says, hey, we got you. Hey, we're protecting your kid. Hey, Instagram, suck my dick. Okay? You know what would be a lot more effective strategy than your bullshit optics right now is if you just said, hey, parents, we understand how important being a parent is. We screwed up. We fucked up. And now we're trying to do better, as opposed to this bullshit optics of like, hey, we got you. Just say we screwed up. Hey, we kind of underestimated how powerful this shit was going to be. And give us a second chance, or give us a break for a sec. I'd be more willing to listen to that than this. It's so much about optics. I think that's what people respond to with Trump. It feels authentic, right? And I think the left, and I had this discussion with Alyssa Slotkin, although I didn't actually talk about this. The left gets caught up in optics too much. The right does too. But the left gets caught up in optics too much, and it doesn't feel authentic or genuine. And we all have had this conversation in our works where you say, well, we just have to do it because there's the looks. I remember, I got to be careful here for a second. I remember at a job in show business speaking with my boss, who was a very popular and famous public figure. And he or she said to me, well, okay, but it's actually more about the optics. It crushed me. It crushed me because I was there arguing for and pitching and advocating for myself. And then heard from this person, okay, good, good to know, but also what's more important is the optics. And I think we hurt ourselves with optics. I think it's not, I think the more the left focuses on optics, the more the right can go, DEI isn't merit-based, whatever. That's my thought. So Instagram, just be honest with us. Hey, sorry, we were made money off your kids by accident. We made money off your kids on purpose, but now we realize it's harmful. We have kids ourselves, and we're doing better. And we're trying to do better. But don't tell me you're looking out for my kids when you haven't been. Just, you got to acknowledge that a mistake happened. Just like they would have done in Terminator Genesis 2015 or Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. Which one had the by the way, the Grace, the actress, the Canadian actress in Terminator Dark Fate, she did a nice job. Here's a list of the Terminators. Yeah, the third one was, the second one was super creepy. The third one was that hot girl with like her cleavage the whole time. Okay, as if a machine would have that. The fourth one was Christian Bale. That's right. Interesting. Okay, good to know. You guys, making Michael 10 again. That's what I want. It was so nice. Mom made graham crackers with peanut butter on it. Coming up right now we did Madrid. So coming up right now is Roma. That's right, Roma. Roma's happening right now. I was just looking at Coco Gauff playing Pala Badosa. Thanks for watching and listening to Tennis Anyone podcast. I'm going to gymnastics right now and swim. This is for kids. I'm in charge. That's the way shit goes around here this week. And what do I want to tell you? Please, lucky loser, should we check and see? What's going on Amazon? Don't do it, Michael. They're going to hate you. Everyone's going to hate you, Michael. You know what still comes up first is that the other book called Lucky Loser. What a surprise. It's still my title. Good. We're getting some reviews. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for reading. There's also Goodreads is nice. There's also, what's it called? Bookshop.org supports independent bookshops. You can also listen to the audiobook. I so appreciate it. I poured my heart and soul into this thing. It drives me insane that every time I go to a bookstore, when I don't see it, I've seen it a lot of places. I haven't seen it other places. It drives me insane. Why is it not there? It's funny. I promise you'll like it. Is it because I put myself on the cover? Oh, please. What do you want me to put? Somebody else? Enjoy Rome, Paris. What a cool lineup, right? Madrid, Monte Carlo, Rome, Paris. Sick. Kind of like Cincinnati, Washington, D.C. What was I going to promote? Connecticut's running out of tickets May 16th. That's next Friday, 2 Fridays from now. Hosting. Listen to that interview with Alyssa Slotkin if you want, the junior senator from Michigan. She was great. She has some nice things to say. She corrected me when I said alpha male energy. Even though I was responding to her, it doesn't matter. She's great. She's a great Michigan figure who might fight through the Democratic noise and become a front runner here. And, last thought, the Dems need to fight it out. That's what was crazy with Kamala Harris. And I think she did a commendable job. And I respect Kamala Harris for the work she did, given the circumstances. But we need a fight. We should have done a quick primary. We need a fight. Fighting is good. It creates strength and resilience, and you really see who's winning and who's the best. It's like when preseason, when the football players all fight each other, they're like, fight it out. Fight it out. Let it out, boys. Let it out, boys. Boys will be boys. Or when the chicks start poisoning each other. Chicks will be chicks. Let's do that. Chicks will be chicks. Or is that disrespectful? Sorry. Girls will be girls. I should have ended it 2 minutes ago. Then I wouldn't be hearing from the anti-female derogatory league. Hey, guys, make Michael 10 again. That was the best time. That was Michael's best years. Why aren't we doing that now? Any action that happens to me that doesn't help me be 10 again, I'm gonna kill it. When my wife is like, "Hey, what's for dinner for the family?" I can't do it. No. Michael's 10. No. I don't do that. Hey, the IRS called. What? I'm 10. Game, set, match. Kosta. Thanks for listening.